This is another jig I did to avoid to bend over to cut small limbs. I have the other chainsaw jig for the smaller limbs, but in between the two there are some bigger limbs that I can handle, but yet they are too small to cut on the ground. I could use some support to put that limb on, but at the end you always have the support in your way, so that's why I did that one. So I'm using a small log so you can see how it works. So this one have a V shape, I'll show you later. This one too, opposite V shape. And this one, as you can see, it's 2.5 tubing over a 2-inch tubing. So it's really small, so whenever it gets sideways of the sliding angle, then it just jams. Like you see, it doesn't want to slide either way. So when I put a log inside, I lift this up and then put the log in, and just by the shock or the vibration, then it loosen up and go down and take a chunk into that log. So if I want to remove it, I just have to lift it, and yet again. You will see later how long or how big I can put limbs into that jig, but it can accommodate in between 2 inches up to 12 inches, up to what I can lift actually. So again, this mechanism, make sure that I have a bite on the end of the log, or the end of the limb, or smaller, longer limb. And what is for sure is that I'm going to end up with a 16 up to 21 inches long log like this. So for sure the saw is not going to go further than this. So that's the advantage of that jig. You're not going to have the jig in the way of your saw. You're not going to have your saw go into that jig. So as opposed to the sawhorse that holds the log in the middle, so you have to cut each ends, and in the middle then you're kind of in between the jig. So this one is really sturdy. It will not move as far as the tractor is holding it. So this jig is being added at the top. It's hinged, but actually doesn't need to be hinged. It's just a way to hold it down like this. So let's see that in action. Yeah, it's really sensible. like I explained before, there's the V shape on one side and the V shape on the other side. This V is about 12 inch from the bottom of the jig, and this one is about 6 inches. That's important to have some depth to make sure that the mechanism will lock. If it's too close to that tube, it will not lock. It's acting exactly like a F clamp, where you can fix the clamp wherever you want. And then 12 inch is convenient for me because I'm going to do 16 inches and up logs. So those opposed V shape make it easy to maintain any log sideways like this. Sometimes the jig seems to block, so the only thing I have to do is to lift a little bit the log to unlock this, and then one finger like this. And any movement of the jig goes down as fast as gravity. The interesting thing about this jig being fixed onto the tractor is that whenever I have a bunch of logs on the ground, I just have to move out with the tractor and have a new clear ground to work on.